This is Land of Havilah, Proverbs 27, verse 1. Don't boast about tomorrow, for you don't know what a day may bring. Comment, don't be overconfident. You don't know what might happen from day to day. Verse 2. Let another man praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger, and not your own lips. Comment, don't praise yourself. If you get any praise, let it be from someone else. Verse 3. A stone is heavy, and sand is a burden, but a fool's provocation is heavier than both. Comment, a fool is a heavy burden to everyone around him. He's hard to put up with. A fool is insufferable. Verse 4. Wrath is cruel, and anger is overwhelming, but who's able to stand before jealousy? Comment, we could do a multiple choice here of the following three strong emotions. Which one is through the roof? A, cruelty, B, anger, or C, jealousy? The correct answer is C, jealousy. Jealousy is the strongest. Verse 5. Better is open rebuke than hidden love. Comment, in our love life, we might want to approach someone, but maybe we're afraid of rejection, afraid of rebuke. Solomon says it's better to go ahead and approach. Quote, better is open rebuke than hidden love. End quote. We have a proverb related to it, which is nothing ventured, nothing gained. Verse 6. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, although the kisses of an enemy are profuse. Comment, an enemy compliments you for his own good. A true friend criticizes you for your good. Verse 7. A full soul loathes a honeycomb, but to a hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. Comment, when you're full, you don't even want honey, but when you're hungry, you'll eat almost anything, and it'll taste good. It also applies to an empty soul, that the empty soul will grasp at straws. Verse 8. As a bird that wanders from her nest, so is a man who wanders from his home. Comment, a bird that wanders from her nest leaves or abandons her eggs and her chicks. A man who wanders from his home abandons his family. Verse 9. Perfume and incense bring joy to the heart, so does earnest counsel from a man's friend. Comment, earnest advice from a friend is a wonderful thing. Verse 10. Don't forsake your friend and your father's friend. Don't go to your brother's house in the day of your disaster. Better is a neighbor who is near than a distant brother. Comment, don't forsake your friend or your father's friend. A distant brother can't help you in the day of disaster, but a neighbor can. Verse 11. Be wise, my son, and bring joy to my heart. Then I can answer my tormentor. Comment, a wise son is a great asset to a man's reputation. If his detractors don't give him credit for much, they'll at least give him credit for a wise son. Verse 12. A prudent man sees danger and takes refuge, but the simple pass on and suffer for it. Comment, this is almost an exact repeat of Proverbs 22:3. A prudent man recognizes a dangerous situation and avoids it, but the simple are oblivious and stumble right into it. Verse 13. Take his garment when he puts up collateral for a stranger. Hold it for a wayward woman. Comment, this one's almost exactly like Proverbs 20:16. He who enters a financial relationship with an unvetted stranger will lose his shirt. Might as well go ahead and give the stranger the money because you're going to lose it anyway. Your money will go to a very bad cause, like throwing it away on a prostitute. Verse 14. He who blesses his neighbor with a loud voice early in the morning, it will be taken as a curse by him. Comment, nobody wants to hear a loud voice early in the morning. Verse 15. A continual dripping on a rainy day and a contentious wife are alike. Restraining her is like restraining the wind or like grasping oil in his right hand. Comment, there's no restraining a nagging and argumentative wife. She keeps on and on. Verse 17. Iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens his friend's countenance. Comment, true friends are frank with one another. They make each other smarter and sharper, but the process isn't pleasant. To sharpen a friend's countenance probably means to criticize him to the point that it makes him a little angry. Verse 18. Whoever tends the fig tree shall eat its fruit. He who looks after his master shall be honored. Comment, look after your boss and it'll profit you. Verse 19. Like water reflects a face, so a man's heart reflects the man. Comment, we think of the face as the identifying feature, but the heart reflects what's inside him. Quote, a man's heart reflects the man. Verse 20. Sheol and Abaddon are never satisfied, and a man's eyes are never satisfied. Comment, Sheol is the place of departed spirits, Genesis 37:35. When there's any mention of a person's state of mind in Sheol, it's usually depicted as a state of unconsciousness, Psalm 6:5 and Ecclesiastes 9:10. But hope in Sheol isn't lost because there's no destruction of the personhood there, and there is a possibility of resurrection, Psalm 16:10, Psalm 49:15, Job 14:13, and Hosea 13:14. Abaddon's a place of departed spirits as well, but Abaddon means destruction. There's no hope in Abaddon. Sheol and Abaddon in the proverb are never satisfied. They receive everyone who dies, no matter how many. In the same way, a man's eyes are never satisfied. Our eyes are always hungry to see anything new and different, anything beautiful, and anything good. Verse 21. The crucible is for silver and the furnace for gold, but man is refined by his praise. Comment, that's also translated, and it makes more sense this way, that a man is tested by his praise. Praise is a test of whether pride will rise up. So what should we say when someone praises us? It makes for an uncomfortable moment. Should we agree with the person who praises us? That would be pride. Should we disagree with them? That would be contrary. The smoothest thing is to dismiss it with a simple thank you, which ends the discussion and is neither agreement nor disagreement. And we should acknowledge in our hearts that if there's anything praiseworthy in us, it's from God. Verse 22. Though you grind a fool in a mortar with a pestle along with grain, yet his foolishness will not be removed from him. Comment, there's no cure for a fool. Scold him all you want, and he's still a fool. Verse 23. Know well the state of your flocks, and pay attention to your herds, for riches are not forever, nor does the crown endure to all generations. Comment, there's no such thing as a business that lasts forever. Even the biggest and most successful companies will eventually fail. And there's no such thing as an everlasting political dynasty. There was the rise and fall of Rome and of every other empire. After the conclusion of the American Constitutional Convention of 1787, a woman on the street asked Benjamin Franklin what type of government the convention had established. He said, "A republic if you can keep it." Quote, riches are not forever, nor does the crown endure to all generations, end quote. It was interesting that Solomon wrote this because God promised his father David that the throne of Israel would last forever, that a descendant of David would be king forever, 2 Samuel 7:12-16. It turned out David's dynasty lasted 20 generations and then failed, but the prophecy is being fulfilled by David's descendant Jesus, who will sit on the throne forever, Daniel 7:27 and Isaiah 9:6-7. Keeping in mind that riches don't last forever, the proverb says, know well the state of your flocks. In other words, keep a good tab on your business, lest it fail on account of your neglect. Verse 25. The hay is removed and the new growth appears. The grasses of the hills are gathered in. Comment, that was an addendum to the previous proverb. Businesses, riches, and dynasties fail and dry up like hay that's been mown down. The leftover assets are put to use and they're replaced by something new. Quote, the hay is removed and the new growth appears. The grasses of the hills are gathered in. We could rephrase that, old businesses fail, new businesses replace them, and the assets are repurposed for other uses. Verse 26. The lambs are for your clothing, and the goats are the price of a field. There will be plenty of goat's milk for your food, for your family's food, and for the nourishment of your servant girls. Comment, verses 26 and 27 are a further extension of the same proverb, speaking of the use and recycling of business assets. The owner of the business and his household live off the business, and rather than consuming all the assets, the owner might spend part of the assets expanding his business or purchasing a new business. There's a constant evolution in business, so you better keep up. Quote, the lambs are for your clothing, and the goats are the price of a field. There'll be plenty of goat's milk for your food, for your family's food, and for the nourishment of your servant girls. End quote. There will be plenty, that is, if you keep close tabs on the condition of your flocks. So it's an encouraging word about your business. that it will succeed if you pay attention to it. Proverbs 28 is next.